It's NBA buyout season as stars of days gone by, or role players of days gone by, really sign on with new teams. We'll get to the lowdown on who's adding reinforcements before All-Star break. The Mavericks are 0-2 with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving when they were 2-0 with just Kyrie. That's weird. Also weird, LeBron James' injury situation. Not weird. Jalen Brunson runs New York. All this and more on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA, your daily source for all things NBA from the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making this your first listen. We appreciate you guys being part of the community, whether you're joining us on YouTube, where you can join the show whenever we go live on Monday nights, or if you're checking us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. Glad to have you with us. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sports book of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm co-host of Locked On Nuggets. His name's Tony. He is host of Locked On Pacers and covers just all things Indiana basketball. Is there if there was because like you cover the G League team, there were like these minor league basketball organizations, and I signed up for like their media press releases. If there was like a true minor league basketball team, like a sub G League minor league basketball team, would you cover them in Indiana?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I could add more on my plate right now.
You say that. I'm gonna make you aware of it, and then you're gonna be sitting home and be like, man, I really gotta get to this.
Gotta dive
Indiana
in.
Bees game or whatever it is.
If I don't know about it, I gotta know.
On today's show, we're going to talk about the NBA buyout season and all the various reinforcements that are coming in the form of, to be honest, pretty washed up stars. And then we're going to get into some conversation about the games tonight. The Mavericks are struggling now that Luka Doncic is back, and defense is getting to be a bit of an issue. Some weird comments coming out of Dallas. We'll talk about LeBron James' ankle injury and why there's some drama over that possibly percolating in the background. Plus, Jalen Brunson wins the subway battle as the Knicks beat the Nets behind 40 from Jalen. All that and more on today's show. We begin with NBA buyout season. So, Tony, you got your pick of glorious reinforcements that are being added. After Terrence Ross eschewed the Dallas Mavericks, because, by the way, it turns out the Suns still had part of their mid-level exception to give Terrence Ross, while as the Mavericks had given all of it to JaVale McGee, who they don't play. After that happens, the Mavericks did land themselves a buyout candidate as Justin Holiday, old friend of the Pacers, is on his way to help give the Mavericks another veteran ball handler, as they've been looking for more of those. Also, a very strange report tonight that, guess what? Adrian Wojnarowski reports that LaMarcus Aldridge is working out for the Mavericks on Tuesday. So first, give me your reaction to Justin Holiday, and then we'll get into the LMA news.
Have you forgotten Danny Green already?
We'll get to him. We'll get to Danny.
There's already been so many. Reggie Jackson, too. Yeah, look, the Mavs are stealing the show with two in a day, potentially. Justin Holiday, first and foremost, is interesting because looking at their team, when Kleba's back, I don't know if Holiday's in their top 9 for the postseason. It's close. He's right on the fringe, and they need healthy bodies because their drop off from 9 to 10, 11, 12 is pretty significant. You're getting to Ntilikina range at that point for Dallas, and Justin Holiday is more serviceable than that. And he's a wing. He's a wing who can kind of shoot and kind of defend. And in the NBA, if you can do one or the other at that position, you have value to an NBA team. And covering him for years, he can shoot it, right? He's got good form. He's got a quick release. He at least forces defenders to be like, oh, crap, Justin Holiday's going to shoot. And his team defense is pretty solid. He's skinny, so he's not like amazing. But that kind of player can be valuable as your 9th guy or just like an extra wing to have in the postseason. So I think that makes a lot of sense for any contender. I always thought he made more sense on a contender than some of the Pacers teams I was covering at the time. LaMarcus Aldridge, not sure what he's got at this stage of his career. He wasn't very good the last times he was playing, but he can still fill it up from the mid-range, I guess. I would not think that he would play in the postseason for the Mavs either, but you wouldn't sign a guy like that unless you thought he was going to be in your playoff rotation. So I'm not really sure what the thinking is behind that one. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, I think it's basically, I would take the LaMarcus Aldridge workout. We'll see if they sign him, but I would take the workout as a sign that they're concerned that, Maxi Kleber may not be, like, the prognosis on that may not be great. JaVale McGee's been, again, unplayable. And to be honest, if it's not about Kleber, then it's about they don't trust Christian Wood in a playoff setting. So that's
they just got Markieff Morris in a trade. Like that, I don't feel like they're at the need of LaMarcus Aldridge yet, but maybe they feel like they are.
Yeah, I wanted to read that quote, by the way, from Markieff Morris, which I thought was amusing. Markieff Morris literally said that he literally said, like, yeah, I'm not in the best of shape. Like, he just outright admitted it. Just hasn't been playing, not in the best of shape. So don't know what they can really expect to get from him, which is a little bit of a yikes, though you take him if you're getting Kyrie, who, by the way, was sensational. We'll talk about that in the second segment. Let's talk about Danny Green. So Danny Green signs with the Cavaliers. My big thing here is just, like, the Cavaliers have the best vibes of anybody in the NBA. They have Robin Lopez, they have Ricky Rubio, they have Danny Green, they have Jared Allen. Like, their vibes are absolutely incredible. They also, by the way, the advanced metrics, the VORPs and Schmorps, as they say, they are now number one in schedule adjusted net rating over dunks and threes, and they are number one in simple rating system at Basketball Reference. Those numbers attempt to try and tell you, hey, if you factor for who they've had to play and how much they've won these games by, here's who's been most impressive. The Cavaliers are actually number one in the league right now. They've passed the Celtics. So a little bit of a surge right now, and they're getting Danny Green. Danny was actually really good for the Grizzlies. I was surprised that the Grizzlies let him go. But I actually think that there's a really good chance here of Danny Green being, like, a helpful component. Not the same player he was coming off the injury, all that, but really like the pickup for the Cavaliers. If for no other reason than they have an abundance of vibes going into the playoffs.
They've got the vibes. The thing that they don't have that they now have is more wing depth right there. They've been unique all season in that their starting three has been not a three. Isaac Okoro, not a three. Dean Wade, not a three. Karis LeVert, not a three, right? They're good players. They can get by at that position, especially with the way that the Cavs play. It's not like been a problem for them, but they have a lot of guys who don't really fit into that box in a way that I feel like Danny Green can with his size and defensive ability. So unlike the Mavs with Justin Holiday, where, again, he's going to help them, like they're getting him for a reason. I feel like Danny Green, it's like, yes, this guy will be in your top 9 playoffs, 15 minutes a game. Perfect. You can count on him in some points. He's won titles before. Like, I think that's a very good fit for them, especially with what they need.
And finally, because Philadelphia fans haven't suffered enough after the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia 76ers signed Dwayne Dedmon to the team on a buyout from the Spurs. They just want Paul Reed to play. That's all that those fans want. And now this just gives Doc another player that is older and slower and probably going to struggle. Now, look, Dwayne Dedmon's been in playoff series, and Dwayne Dedmon brings some strength. And Dwayne Dedmon was pretty good last season, but he's really struggled this year. There's a reason why Miami gave up on him after signing him to an extension. Like this, it's not a great look here. So I don't know, like, what it's going to take for Doc Rivers to ever believe that B-Ball Paul can actually give him some minutes. But this is just another move that's going to probably irritate Sixers fans.
Yeah, it confused a tiny bit. Just be like, you mentioned Dedmon hasn't been awesome this year. It's like, has he been that much better than Montrezl Harrell, who admittedly also hasn't been awesome this year, but he's already on the Sixers. If they do need a backup big. They have for ever, right? When did they draft Joel Embiid since then? So of course they need somebody, but I think that forever and ever the clamoring in Philly has been for someone more talented than that, right? That franchise was psyched about, like, Kyle O'Quinn, right? Like, that's how much they've been clamoring for backup centers over the years. And Kyle O'Quinn's good, but I do not think Dedmon is the answer for them, although they do need depth at the position. But same kind of deal. Like, is he going to play that much? You have Paul Reed, who's been awesome when he plays. I get that he's younger and makes some mistakes, but he's super interesting and does unique things. And Trez hasn't been so bad that I would go get Dwayne Dedmon. So I was pretty surprised to see that one. That was not where I thought that was going to go for Philly.
Okay, since you brought him up, I will now quiz you on this. Where is Kyle O'Quinn playing now? I would like you to guess where Kyle O'Quinn is playing in the world right now.
It's
without looking it up.
I'll go with Istanbul. I have no idea. I just picked a random country.
Japan in the Japanese,
is he in the Dwight Howard League?
Japanese B League for the San and Neo Phoenix of the Japanese B League. Kyle Quinn was a lot of fun there for a little bit. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll get to the games from Monday night, including I'll ask the question to Tony of, is it time for the Mavericks to move on from Luka Doncic? We'll do that and more when we come back on Locked On NBA. But first, I need to tell you about FanDuel, because our new partner in sports betting at Locked On is FanDuel Sportsbook. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and it's a perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I have myself a little parlay at FanDuel on the Georgia Bulldogs, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Boston Celtics at plus 4,400. So I am going go Celtics for the rest of the season. I also have a lot of other parlays over there because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's why you got to use FanDuel Sportsbook. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. You can bet on everything from money line to point scores and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. Love the over in Bucks Celtics, even with the Celtics without a bunch of guys. Usually guys will step up and play a little bit harder on offense, and the other team has never really played those guys and doesn't know the scouting report, and they wind up struggling on the defensive end. Either that or the Bucks may just drop 150 because that's how they've been rolling lately. Don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Back here on Locked On NBA, thanks for joining us. Matt Moore and Tony East with you, breaking down all things NBA for Tuesday. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. So Kyrie Irving comes along, and they go 2-0, and they get a thrilling win over the Kings. And then Luka Doncic comes back, and they lose a heartbreaker in the second game versus the Kings, but whatever. It was a back-to-back, and, the Kings were obviously going to be amped to get that one, etc. So then the Mavs go home, and tonight they lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves nearly wire to wire as the Wolves just really outplayed them, especially on the defensive end. Anthony Edwards goes for 32 points. The Wolves shoot 57.8% from the field. Jaden McDaniels has 19. Rudy Gobert goes for 21 and 14 in just 29 minutes. Doesn't close the game as they hold off a late rally. Kyrie in the fourth quarter was absolutely ballistic. He was incredible in the fourth quarter. Just like steal, pull up three, twisting layup, like everything that they talk about with Kyrie and the whole, like, it's like art. It's true. Like, you watched it in the fourth quarter and you're just like, everything that he does is beautiful. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. He has 26 points on 11 of 12 shooting, 3 of 4 from 3, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 turnover, and a plus 15 in the fourth quarter as they stage the comeback. However, it comes up short because they dug too much of a hole for themselves. And while it's like, okay, yeah, Luka comes back and they lose these games, whatever, Luka was a minus 12 in this game. Like, Kyrie Irving was a plus 1 and Luka was a minus 12. Luka finishes with 33 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, the usual stuff here, 10 of 20 from the field, 2 of 7, but he misses 4 free throws late. And the defense was particularly bad. After the game, Jason Kidd asked about it, and I got to read this quote to you, Tony. It's absolutely nuts. Asked about if he's concerned about the Mavs defense, Jason Kidd did a complete 180 from last year and even 2 weeks ago. Quote, "No, we're here to outscore people. People come to see the points, not 80 to 80. We're here to score. This is the new NBA. Interior defense, we'll figure it out."
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Now, that's one quote that's interesting. Here's another one. Luka Doncic, this is both via Callie Kaplan, by the way, who you should follow on Twitter at Callie Kaplan for the Dallas News. Callie reports that Luka Doncic, a few minutes after Jason Kidd's offense's defense statement, quote, you're not going to win championships only by offense. Said he has confidence the Mavs will improve on defense as the new core gets time to mesh. Now, look, it's like we're 2 games into the Luka Kyrie era, but I did talk to somebody for Action Network. He's my colleague Albert Wynn. We do a podcast together, and he was at the game tonight, and he was like, people were annoyed with Luka, like missing free throws, not playing defense. So, like, it's going to be interesting because Kyrie's now like the new exciting guy in town, and Kyrie's very locked in because Kyrie wants to get paid. And so, like, I'm going to be very curious to see how this whole dynamic works out. It's 2 games, but I just think it's kind of interesting. If we're talking about what's going on in the NBA, the Mavs, because they're under so much of a spotlight, stuff like this is going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, there were 2 concerns about what the Mavs ceiling could be when they made this Kyrie trade. One of them was very stupid, and that was the 1-ball concern. As you can see in this game, they both can score a bajillion points with only 1 basketball. The other concern that was much more valid was about their defense, specifically their point of attack defense, and what that means for the rest of the Mavs being overtaxed, how you have to help more, how you have to guard your own guy and someone else. And look at that. That is where the Mavs have struggled. Even with Irving back in the fold, they don't have enough defense on the floor. That's why, Josh Green's an okay defender, but he's working so hard on that. And it's hard for him to finish plays. And Reggie Bullock has not been the best play finisher for them already, even though he's there for defense. Like they didn't have Kleba, and he's a great defender for them, but they just don't. They need more on that end of the floor than they currently can have with the roster that they have, right? And so that is where I think a lot of their weaknesses are going to be. And it is a fine strategy to do what Jason Kidd says and say, you know what? We leaned all in on offense with this trade. We gave up our best defender, probably the most versatile defender on their team, for a not good defensive player, right? And Dinwiddie's about the same level of defender as Kyrie Irving. So, they're going to lose a lot on that end of the floor. Kyrie's not that big. Like, it's hard to hide him on any position. So they're not going to be a good defensive team. I think they're going to have a lot of games like this where they can't stop the ball handler, and that leads to easy buckets for play finishers. That's why Gobert, dare I say what I'm about to say, man, vintage Rudy Gobert game, 9 for 9, 21 points. Love to see those double-digit rebound numbers. But in general, guys like that can have big nights when guys like Anthony Edwards can get going towards the basket over and over again. Mike Conley carving them up for 9 assists, right? That kind of thing is going to happen a lot to this Mavs team. And they'll either have to outscore or find a way to defend a little better, whether that's more chemistry, more Klebo when he returns, whatever. But, and Justin Holiday joining their team. But yeah, I think Jason Kidd's going to have to be right with the way that they've constructed their team.
Elsewhere in the association, got to mention this. The Lakers get absolutely just destroyed, rocked, annihilated by the Portland Trailblazers. All of that positive momentum coming off of the Warriors game fades a little bit after this one as the Blazers go on. Dame has another monster game. Blazers win 127-115. It wasn't that close. So the interesting thing here is that LeBron sits again with the ankle. Again, he hasn't played since breaking the record. Dave McMenamin talked about in a report that the injury has been bothering him for a while, and it's going to be a little bit of a concern. And also that he's been playing 40 minutes despite having had that issue. Like, his number of minutes has been significantly pretty high, including like a conversation that the Lakers organization, so it's the usual, some in the organization raised an eyebrow at LeBron's recent minutes allotment, which I thought was pretty interesting. He plays 34 minutes in the record breaker game versus OKC. He had played 40 versus the Pelicans, 33 versus the Pacers, 43 versus the Knicks, 44 versus Boston.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's been getting up there, and for a guy that's got a lot of miles on him anyway, obviously, like, now look, LeBron's got All-Star next weekend. They're just trying to get through. It's entirely possible. What I'm trying to figure out is, like, look, you wanted them to make these trades, and they did. They brought in the reinforcements, and Russ is gone, and you got the squad now. And now LeBron, who's played through the injury before, is not able to play. Obviously, like, if the ankle is just hurting more, you got to manage it. There's not, like, LeBron knows his body, but the problem is, I mean, did the Lakers wait too long? Like, you're gonna need to start winning some of these games. Like the West is not gonna wait for you. They're still probably gonna be pretty bad, but after the loss, the Lakers are now 3 games back of the Blazers and Thunder, and that's for the 11th seed. Like if we're talking about trying to get home court for the play-in, that's the Wolves at 29. You're 3 back there. You're 4 of the Pelicans and 4 of the Mavericks. Now you can make that difference up, but there's a lot of teams in there that you're battling with. So, like, what would your alarm level be if you're a Lakers fan right now?
Yeah, anyone older than 35 with an injury that gets worse, high alarms, always, basically, right? Like their bodies just heal worse at that stage. There's a reason why those guys get more frequently, whatever, load management, it's restricted, whatever. It's because that their body healing or their long-term health prognosis requires more care. And LeBron is notoriously amazing at taking care of his body, which is why injuries to him are typically, in my eyes, more serious than the common player. So I think it's serious enough to the point that he's sitting out. It's a big deal. But it is obviously concerning that, they may have leaned in too much. And I don't think Darvin Ham was like, screw you, doctors, I'm doing this instead. I don't think he's dumb. And I think LeBron is obviously in on the plan. But at the same time, the question is not what if they did or didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's more of was what they were supposed to do correct. And if their plan was too aggressive with minutes, and they need the wins. They needed him to play to win. Right? They are so good when he plays. He's still amazing. But if it hurts you long term, it means that once you finally cash in on your reinforcements and have a better team, you still aren't good enough because LeBron's not playing, then it wasn't worth it. So that's the question to ask is, was their plan correct? And maybe this is an injury that was just unavoidable anyway. But at his age, you always have to ask these questions, especially when he hasn't played since the deadline. He's missed a few games in a row now. It's certainly concerning where they're headed at the moment.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about Jalen Brunson leading the Knicks to a win in the what do you call it? The Subway season series? The Subway hoop?
Subway series.
Know.
That's it, right?
The what?
Or is that baseball?
That's baseball.
Oh.
Because you don't play in consecutive games. We got to come up with a name for it. Anyway, the Knicks beat the Nets. We'll talk about that and a few more games when we come back after the break. But first, I got to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. Those go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, your company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. You can identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find your qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Final segment here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday. Glad to have you guys with us. Matt Moore and Tony East. So Tony, the Knicks needed a get right game. They have needed like a little bit of a boost, and they got one tonight versus the Brooklyn Nets and their 700,000 wings that they now have. Jalen Brunson in this game was absolutely fantastic. He was incredible in this one. Brunson goes for 40 points on 21 shots. 40 points on 21 shots. Made 15 of them. That's like 1.95 Jalen Greens. Jalen Brunson goes 6 of 9 from 3-point range, has 5 assists, no turnovers, all of that, and is a plus 23 as the Knicks roll to a 124-106 win. It seems like every time I'm ready to be like, okay, yeah, Jalen's good, but like you're still going to need a star. Jalen has one of these games. Like Brunson is really, really good. I feel like they definitely have the number 2 guy. They're going to need to find the number 1 guy if they want to contend for a title. But like this is Brunson's been absolutely worth the money that they shelled out. When they spent that kind of money on him, when it was like 120 mil in free agency, I was like, whew, no wonder. Like the Mavericks needed to keep him because they didn't have any options. But like That's a lot of dough for Jalen Brunson, and he's been worth every penny. He's been absolutely sensational.
Absolutely worth every penny, if not more. I mean, these are my favorite games when a dude lights it up with no free throws. I mean, he made 4 and he had 40 points. Like, that's sick. Like, he could not be stopped. And he could always kind of score with Dallas, but to take on this sort of role with all your touches being expected to create something, especially for yourself, which is super difficult, to still be efficient, to still manage and run a pretty good offense in the NBA, to not, be hoisting up bad shots or being unable to generate good looks for your teammates, and to be able to shoot such a high percentage. That's so hard to do. That's such a tough role to be launched into when your previous role was, I'm playing off of the highest usage star in the NBA. That is a really tough adjustment, and he's handled it really well. And I'm with you that, like, he's not always like this, and always kind of like, man, the Knicks, they're good. They're just a couple things away. And then I'm like, man, at their best, they are good. They've got an all-star. Maybe Brunson is the replacement for Jalen Brown if he can't play with that face thing. I don't know if we've heard anything about that. Like, they might have 2. They're really good at their best. I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. This is their first win against the Nets in like forever, right? And I know the Nets made a bunch of trades, but this is a big deal for that franchise to get a win like this, even if the Nets is a totally different team. So big win for them, for spirits and fandom, and big win for Jalen Brunson to kick some butt right before potentially an all-star replacement choice.
If I had told you 4 years ago that Jalen Brunson would have 40 and the opponent would have Ben Simmons, what would you think would happen? Ben Simmons tonight, 12. Ben Simmons, 12 minutes. 2 points.
Stop.
1 of 2 from the field. Nope, I will not stop. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and a -4 in 12 minutes. It's bad.
Yeah, I thought people were exaggerating early in the season. Like, he was definitely playing bad, but I was like, this is Ben Simmons. He'll figure it out. It's bad. I mean, he doesn't look at the rim. He does not look at the basket when he touches the ball.
It is genuinely sad. Like, it is not like, patronizing sad. It's genuinely like, this is a bummer. Like, this is just like a sad thing to see. So
he was like I think I always said he was kind of underrated, right? Like, top 5 defender in the league, could get to the rim whenever he wanted. Now he can't do.
I thought he should have been DPOY like 4 years ago.
Yeah, now he can't do much of anything, and I hate to dump on him too much, but he was not. He doesn't play. He shouldn't play, right? Yeah. Like, all the exercises, trying to figure out this new like deep Nets team who should play. Ooh, this is fun. They have all these wings. It's like, oh yeah, oh crap. We just named 9 guys, and none of them are Ben Simmons. And you can't blame him. It's tough, but the Knicks, credit the Knicks. When you win against a rival for the first time in 4 years, I'm going to celebrate that as a fan. I want more NBA rivalries, just as a viewer of the league. And Josh Hart is fitting in great with that team. They're 2-0 with them in the lineup so far, 10 for 14 in this one. So credit to the Knicks. Maybe they got something here.
A couple of things around the association. Warriors without Steph get a win over the Wizards. The Magic hold the Bulls to 91 points. Yikes. Good thing they didn't make any trades at the deadline. The Nuggets got a 112-108 clutch time win over the Heat without Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. Vlatko Čančar with some big plays. Joker with another usual, like, oh my God, series of numbers. And Jimmy Butler missed a wide open layup under the basket that would cut too. That was a rough scene for him. James Harden smashes his old team, the Rockets, as old friend of the program, I think is accurate to say. Jalen Green goes for 29 points on 6 of 20 shooting in that one. The Hawks lost to the Hornets for the 3rd time.
They gave up 144 points, Matt. That's not good.
You didn't make any trades at the deadline. You once again kept John Collins. You didn't even move Bogdanovich.
Whoa. They got Sadiq Bey eventually. It took a while.
And then you lose to the Hornets for the 3rd time? Like, some of us have a Hornets worst record prop that we would really like to hit. And 3 of their 16 wins have come versus the Hawks.
Hornets shot 63%, hit 23s, got to the line. Look at the Hornets go. Wow, these stats are crazy.
I'm looking at all these teams, and I'm just like, what did you think you were doing at the deadline?
The Hawks were perplexing to me. I thought they would do something more significant.
Like Toronto yesterday, like Toronto barely gets past Detroit after they lost to the Jazz. And it's just like running it back. Oh, well. Are your Pacers going to pull out of this, or is it all downhill from here?
Don't look down, Matt. They are half a game out of the 5th lottery odds. The Magic won. They lost. They're right there. You are looking, even though I said don't look now. Yeah, if they could, by the All-Star break, be 13th in the East. They've lost 16 out of 18. That is not a misspeak. They have 2 wins. They were 23 and 18, exactly the halfway point before the skid. So it's like the perfect dichotomy of a season. They can't defend anymore. And they were winning a lot of close games because Tyrese Haliburton was like one of the best clutch players in the NBA. And then he got hurt, and he's been playing well since he got back. He was really good tonight, 30 and 12. But he didn't have the clutch magic, and that's killer. You can't win those close games. So they got it like within a possession late, but they aren't the same Pacers anymore. They lost a lot of mojo when he got hurt, and they are most likely out of it.
Utah stabilizing a little bit. We'll see if they can hang on to a playoff.
Well, beating the Pacers does not count as stabilizing at the moment.
Does not count. Does not count. Well, you beat the Raptors and the Pacers. Maybe that counts as like a half a stabilization. Like
okay,
together.
what? That's yeah.
If you
together
smoke those together, half stabilization. All right, let's get wrap it up for Locked On NBA. You can follow Tony on Twitter at TEastNBA. Follow me on Twitter at HB Basketball. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, you got Jake Mass and John Corrales as they'll get you through the Wednesday slate. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have yourselves a great week. Enjoy the NBA action before All-Star. We'll talk to you guys again next Monday with another edition of Locked On NBA.